All right, so today we just got a lot of information from where we were a couple years ago to where we are now to where we're going, some of the best tools in the industry, some of the best tactics to deliver these business bots for your clients or for your business. And now we're really going to focus on what you need to do to go from idea to finished product. We're not finished product, but just idea to a minimum viable product that's out there that people are talking with and you're getting data to improve. So that's what we're really going to focus on right now. And right now we have a really good panel. Again, my name is Joseph. I'm the co-founder of SmartLoop. We're a chatbot and live chat platform, and it's really easy to build bots to automate your marketing and customer service. And I'll go ahead and pass it on and we'll have introductions.
So my name is Hans van Dam. I'm one of the founders of RoboCopy and the Conversational Academy. And what we do is really recognize, develop, and promote the role of the conversation designer. So we train and certify conversation designers. And what's that? Oh, more mics. So we help with that, and we help companies really develop conversation design teams and have them work in such a way that they can really scale out through the organization.
Hi everyone, my name is Ubaid. I'm the founder of BotMock. We are a conversation design and prototyping tool. We enable teams, small and large teams, to actually design the conversation flows, understand what the experience would be on 11 different channels, from Facebook to Voice to Slack, Microsoft Teams, Enterprise Bots, and web and mobile. And we help you do that from design, prototyping, usability testing, and the whole yard. And then we have a developer API that enables your dev teams to take what you have designed and prototype and take it all the way through a number of platforms like Raza, Microsoft Bot Framework, IBM Watson, Dialogflow, or your own.
Hi, I'm Drew Austin. I'm the CEO and founder of Wade and Wendy. We apply chatbots and AI chatbots to the recruiting space. So we have two core products. One that enables us to screen inbound applicants that apply for jobs, specifically for the role, be able to understand and comprehend the responses, and then be able to make recommendations back to the recruiting team on how to optimize their workflow. And on the other side, for roles that don't receive a lot of applicants, we focus on the sourcing side of things, which is engaging and presenting people information about job opportunities, helping them learn about the roles through chat, and if they're interested, getting them back over to the hiring team. We're a venture-backed startup. We've raised from some great VCs, and we're based in New York. We're 25 people, and we're live with enterprise customers, big banks, Fortune 100 companies. So, we kind of started at the early days of this chatbot revolution. So some of the things that we learned about building chatbots, I think, were some hard lessons that I think people have now put a lot of infrastructure in place to be able to assist. So hopefully we can share some light on that.
Go Gingers!
My name is Dimitri. I have a marketing agency called Target Choice. We are focused on running Facebook ads and building Facebook chatbots, Facebook Messenger chatbots. And there is something that we do that is a bit different from what most people who are doing Facebook chatbots do, which is we build self-hosted on-premise chatbots, which opens a lot of interesting opportunities that are much harder to do if you do not control the platform, you cannot have your own database, you cannot inject code. We can build really deep, really rich applications which look like mobile native apps, but they're in a messenger and they're integrating this kind of functionality into the conversation flow. Lots of opportunities, not many examples of this that you can find out there right now.
Hey, my name is John Wolf. I'm one of the lead developers on BotsEye. That's our chatbot platform. I'm here for Ascendum Digital. It allows you to quickly get up to speed with your knowledge-based data, embed anywhere, and rapidly scale out a chatbot. Couple of the other things I do are quickly proof of concept, different ideas, getting them in front of people, running analytics on those proof of concepts and seeing what sticks and what doesn't, and quickly making decisions from that. So hopefully I can share some of that with you today.
Mason Levy, co-founder and CEO of Swivel. We simplify the AI training process ultimately helping companies take out the trash through guided data tagging exercises that they can either do in-house or outsource. To focus on two main competencies. First of all, speed to launch, and then closing the feedback loop so these systems get smarter quicker.
Okay, great. So we're talking about use cases. So when you think of an enterprise, what are the best use cases that an enterprise can focus on? How should they be thinking about chatbots, AI, and voice? And what case studies have you really seen shine in an enterprise?
Well, I think the obvious one is still customer service, right? And that's where we see the most success and where companies really get the most value. But you see them spinning off at different departments, right? Where we use persuasive dialogues to just get people to buy products or book meetings or download papers. I think what enterprises really need to be thinking about is how we're going to sort of use AI to communicate with people and how we're sort of going to design a bots department over time. So I think you sort of see now different use cases. Every department can have his own little use case, but how are you going to really create a department that's going to run that and make people feel comfortable around that? So now we see it's really like an engineering problem most of the time. We feel we need to have much more emphasis on sort of dialogue design, conversation design, but also understand the psychology and everything that goes into that, right? So the real use cases, they're everywhere and they're super exciting, but a lot of companies aren't getting to that point yet because they still see it as an engineering problem. But if they invest more in the design part and understanding the psychology, then they'll actually get to execute on the other use cases. So that's sort of our take on that.
Yeah, so from our end, we see a lot of our enterprise customers starting from either customer service or internal sales. So some of them are internal-facing bots, some of them are external-facing. We have some customers who are doing it for entertainment. So they're bringing games and other aspects of their brand, engaging with their customers. And the idea is that they are trying to get a dialogue going with their customers first, learning from what their customers are asking for, and then even taking the second kick of the can, and then maybe seeing what else can they do. So, from voice, it's all about don't go transaction right away, try to provide value first, and then see what they're asking for, and then add more value in transaction more. And then on text as well, there's customer service, and then other people coming in.
Yeah, for us, I think what we looked for was use cases that really showed the value of where chatbots perform. So we looked for areas where there was high volume of interactions that, when we looked deeper, had kind of repetitive workflows and repetitive types of interactions. So I don't think it's as much about like, I see a lot of people try to squeeze chatbots into a wide range of use cases. But I think when you really kind of try to like break down what the purpose of that chatbot is, it's to present information, gather information, hopefully synthesize that information, and then ultimately make some type of recommendation based on that information. So, things, scenarios that I think are really interesting, you look at real estate. I've been looking for an apartment lately, and it's a very complicated process for me. But at the end of the day, if a chatbot helped me to navigate the information that I need to give, similar to the tax one that was that we saw earlier, I thought that was a great workflow for us with recruiting. I was a recruiter. I spent 5 years in recruiting. I felt that the types of conversations that I had, no matter how many tools and systems we had in place, the conversations that I had to have would continue to constrain my ability to scale my job and my performance. So when I was able to really break down what I was talking about and then look at how can we offload some of those interactions so I can have more human interactions with people instead of racing through chats, that's what I looked for. I looked for areas where repetitive workflows, repetitive conversations, clearly, there was very clear intent and data being exchanged so that we can make informative decisions based on that. And that's kind of how I've looked for use cases.
I see the best use case as the simplest. Sell more stuff, make more money. That's it, right? So how does it break out? This means you have to look at what is the acquisition cost of getting somebody into the messenger, what kind of drip campaigns can you get in front of them to get them taking action, whether we are just generating leads that they have to be sold off Messenger or you're doing e-commerce, but it really comes down to your marketing metrics. How much does it cost to acquire a user for the bot, what kind of offers you're putting in front of them, how you're converting them, and how much better this is versus other marketing channels. Now, how do you do this? It's also pretty simple. You look at your existing sales scripts, you look at the existing questions you ask your prospects, and you turn this into the bot workflow, you put it in front of lots of people, you optimize this, you keep dialing in on this, and you end up with a positive ROI. So I just heard real estate being mentioned. This is one of areas of our focus, and this is just amazing how much opportunity there is in pretty much every industry to take existing sales process, existing prospect qualification and sales process, and turning this into a structured process that happens inside of the messenger and also integrates other platform. Then you integrate it with Facebook ads, you get it in front of pretty much everybody in the world. So that's where I see the biggest use case.
Good. Yeah, I think some of the things that we've seen are speaking a little bit more generally, anything that's a pain, it takes time and manpower, and can it be automated? So when it fits those categories, you can have a chatbot solve those kind of problems and quickly. And I think several people have mentioned return on investment, but if you're saving man hours, you're saving money. So.
Yeah, I think AI automation chatbots is kind of allowing us to rethink just about every business process there is. From an enterprise perspective, I think some of the internal business processes are the most exciting for automation. So you have HR recruiting, all the way to payroll. How do I onboard a customer or employee, offboard that employee? As well as project management and assisting through that, so that if you have remote teams or people that are working different hours, you kind of have this man in the middle that's helping communicate at all times. I think those are some of the more intriguing use cases for enterprise.
Okay, great. So now that we know the use cases, we're coming into a lightning round here. So we're gonna just say, if you could tell us what is your number one tip from get that MVP out the door, so a user can test it and you can see how people are using it, and then if you have any tips on how to launch a bot, right?
Yeah, so when you start out, don't focus on technology. So what you want to do is really figure out sort of from the user's perspective, what do they want to achieve, but also how do they feel when they want to achieve that. So what are their anxieties and motivations, and sort of design for that. And we use role play for that to get a good feel of what the dialogue should be. And once you have that structured, that's something that you can validate real quickly through Wizard of Oz testing, and then you can implement it and actually save yourself a lot of time in the design process. So you can have a chatbot that way at the end of the day instead of just diving into the technology straight away. So yeah, you'll save yourself a lot of headaches that way.
Yeah, and just to build on top of that, right, we see our customers do this every single day on our platform. They're starting to explore an idea of a chatbot, they come on our platform, they want to prototype it, and that's what we provide them the toolings for. And our job and our sort of mission is to give them that ability to get a prototype in front of their customers without writing a single line of code, without even going to the platform itself. So on our platform, you can build the entire conversation experience on Facebook Messenger, for example, and send a link to somebody that doesn't require them to open Facebook Messenger, does not require them to do anything fancy like that. But you can run focus groups, get feedback, get input just from your team, stakeholders, and then outside of it. Once you get that feedback, you are already 10x better in terms of understanding, is this worth pursuing, and putting all the engineering resources behind it. So we usually look at them and say, take away all your AI, ML, and all the fancy stuff out first. Just write dialogues first. Just create a flow diagram. You will understand your customer's journey. Focus on a use case that you want. Give them that task and say, hey, here's a sample chatbot conversation. Try to order a pizza if you're building a pizza bot, right? And see how they struggle and what's their experience look like. And you will learn a lot.
Yeah, I guess this would also a little bit go back to what I was saying last time is I think a great way to validate an assumption or a test with a chatbot is to try to find an existing flow of users that you can kind of interject yourself with. So for example, when we got started, our first idea was, I was a recruiter and I said, I want to go find people, let's take companies that are hard to fill jobs and try to find people to place them. But for that, the challenge you have to face is building a database of people first before you even start engaging high volumes of people. So when we shifted we said, how can we just interject ourselves in the workflow to be able to just engage and try to really get people through the pipeline so they can test the experience. We moved it to the post-apply process so that so we didn't have to focus on acquisition and chat, we could really just focus on the chat side. So I would say focus is one of them, focus on really testing your core assumptions. And the second thing is identify clear KPIs. So what is the actual metric? And there's a lot of fluffy metrics in this space, so let's be real, but really understand what is the key metric that validates that a chatbot in this space and in this situation, in this scenario makes sense. Is it start to completion? Is it being able to demonstrate trust? Is it executing the task? Is it conversion metrics? Whatever it is, there's a golden metric there, and make sure you move past any of the nonsense metrics and get to the one that matters most, and then focus on limiting anything else that can distract from validating whether this works based on that metric.
Well, I wanted to talk about something very similar. I would say focus on solving problems that are worth solving and find the low-hanging fruit. One of the challenges I see with the chatbot space overall, there are just so many shiny things to distract you. It's so easy to turn a chatbot project into sort of an exploratory science project, and it's cool, but the question is how much impact is it going to make on your business, on your goals? Where we try to focus is sales, revenue, marketing. It's very easy to make a case. How many more customers we signed up, how much more stuff we sold them, and is this the right thing, and how we can use the data that we already have to reach those people, how do we leverage the creative assets, find something that's going to give you a quick win, that's going to get people in the organization on board with chatbots and asking for more. On the other hand, sometimes people just want to experiment, just create something that is completely, interesting, exciting, but not necessarily practical. But if you do something like this, it might be challenging to get your organization to keep supporting the project. Find the low-hanging fruit and pick it.
Yeah, so speaking to the first part, which is getting it in front of your users, some things you can do, especially at the enterprise level, is partner with your end users and work together to come up with something that you know is going to work for them. Have a team ready to scale it out, at least in POC mode, so that you can get it in front of who's going to be your end users as quick as possible and iterate on it. Of course, you'll need your analytics in place to do that, but you knew that ahead of time, so it's going to work. And from there, actually launching it, you can also work with your end users. You develop some buzz, create some hype. You have a demo, you have your sales pitch, and after that, it's all about the infrastructure you've set in place and set a go live date and go.
Awesome. Trying not to repeat answers. So, talk about tips and tricks. It's about having the right tools in place. What I look for in a bot building platform are typically 4 things. How easy is it to implement and get up and running? Because real live customer feedback is better than anything. Does the platform, is it flexible enough for me to experiment and optimize in real time? Can I train and tune my natural language processing or understanding algorithms really quickly? And then ultimately, because we're putting this out into front of real world people really quickly, what's the escalation process look like to push to a human? And making sure that feedback loop for human to human interaction is actually retraining and making sure that the bot is getting smarter as well too.
All right, cool. Great tips. I think the key thing is just conceptualize your idea, figure out what you want to build and build it. Don't get paralyzed by research and spend months and months and months and never do anything. So
do simple things good.